Hi there, my name is Kevin Smith, and I am the head coach, president, and chief executive running officer of a company called Marathon Dynamics that here in Toronto for the last 20 years has helped runners improve by bringing out the best in them in mind, body, and spirit. Today, as part of our Be the Best Dynamo Runner series, we'd like to focus on pacing, both how to find it and hold it, and secondarily, how to mix it up a lot. Those are both two great skills to have as a runner who wants to improve. So, becoming an ace of pace. These are great tools, these Garmins, I gotta tell you. Even better tool than I might have admitted before I got one. However, for many years I railed against the dangers of the demon of the Garmin. And I still have some misgivings and reservations about using, or perhaps best put, overusing, inappropriately using Garmins. That's still one of the biggest problems out there amongst the running community, is overuse and misuse of the information exchanged through Garmin. Okay? Ironically, it can hurt you more than it helps you with pace. When used constructively and in certain ways, it can be a great learning, training wheels aid to establishing and finding out how you can maintain pace. But there's a lot of detours and roadblocks and nasty stuff, pitfalls that can happen, okay? Remember, if you start with a very specific idea of what kind of pace and distance you want to do, that's all well and good, but generally that's assumed to be off perfect conditions, external and internal, right? So, but running doesn't work. It's not in a bubble, generally. We do have tracks on the indoor track. Once in a while, we do run in a bubble, but most of the time, when we are outside, we are decidedly not in a bubble. We are subject to all kinds of variability, and so should our pacing be. So when you have these exact paces and you have this supposedly accurate and immediate feedback, what I am purporting is that it pushes you to run inefficiently, to run in ways and at intensities that are not beneficial and do not accomplish the workout, okay? Because we all know intuitively that we should slow down on hills going up, and we should probably pick up a little going down. We know that in the back of our mind, or even in the front of our mind. We know that into the wind, we should lose, depending on how strong it is, we should lose pace, we should slow down. And behind it, when the wind is behind us, we should pick up. That makes sense. We know that in the trails, well, we should be running slower because there's more absorption of our energy and less return, so we slow down. Plus, good luck with Garmin's in the trails. That's a whole other story. It will not tell you what you need to know, trust me. And then we also know that in weather extremes of heat, we must slow down gravely, and weather extremes of cold, or at least more aptly, the consequence of cold, ice and snow, we have to change our pace. But the question is, in all those cases, how much? Most runners are very begrudging about how much they will let that happen. And they have no idea, in most cases, about how much they should be letting that happen. The variance can be huge, especially when you start to layer a couple of these on each other. You could be and should be a minute per kilometer, sometimes even much more, off your exact pace at that moment. And yet, then the flip side could be true. Slow, fast, it should all be happening. But the effort is what you want to be close to constant to the target, okay? In the old days, before all this, we tried to do that. We trusted ourselves and got used to it. So, as newer runners, they've not existed. The Garmins have always been there. They've never had to fend for themselves that way. So it's tricky, in a way, to take the training wheels off, but it's very worth trying, okay? Sometimes less information is more. And to borrow a line from an old now CSI show, trust, then verify. Thank you, Horatio. This is the idea of not necessarily speeding up and reacting to every little uptick and downtick of a Garmin while you're out there on a run. Trusting yourself to go by feel. This is what I feel this pace should be like, and I'm assessing the conditions. I should be slower, I should be faster, getting an idea, and then checking, verifying, how did I do? Okay, so first you give feel a chance, then you give fact an opportunity. Feel, then fact. And it's an iterative, cyclical, constantly changing relationship. but the more you do it, the better you get at it, okay? So there is a place, and it's a very good tool when it's working accurately, and that's the other thing. Sometimes these things don't work. Every race, I get more and more reports about it just fizzled out, it wouldn't read, battery died. Again, that's that reliance on an external aid. Can be tricky. Yeah, I mean, I try and say a good idea is to try and do a lot of running where you check your Garmin, for pace at least, up to 3 times. That's it, 3 looks. So you choose when you want to do them, but you got 3 looks. Okay? One I would suggest is at the first K or mile or marker, right? Because that's, you thought you knew what you were doing, and you went, oh, okay, this is my first and hopefully only real check on the way up. This is my first and biggest check to see how I did on pace. And you get feedback, so now you start to adjust. So you may check again in a K, or you may wait till halfway to see how you did, right? Trust and then verify. But that, at the turnaround, that's another very good time to check your Garmin, pacing, etc. I would not worry about instantaneous pacing ever. Take that setting off. If you want the average to trend and track with you, that's okay. But again, don't put too much stake in it, but more than instantaneous, okay? But yeah, you just want to check out the gate, you want to check at the halfway, and then you may, depending on the workout or the initiative, you may want to check with a K or with a mile to go if you're feeling like, hey, am I going to pick it up? How am I doing? Do I need to pick it up? Stuff like that, okay? 3-check system works really well, and it really cures acute Garminitis, which is a trend where people look, and they look more, and they look so much that they're going to trip, they're going to get injured from looking at their Garmin, I swear. So, yeah, estimate first, check it, and you'll be way off. Does that make sense? Give it a try. I think you'll like it. And for the second part, I'm skipping ahead because I want to come back to that. The other part, that was about finding the right intensity that smooths out, right? The right pace to stay at when you have a target pace. The other flip side of that coin is expressly moving paces around. Learning your gearbox is an important skill as a runner. Finding out what's there for one, and being able to reliably go to it is another one. So Fartleks, that famous Scandinavian origin word, which means play with speed, is essentially that, as it sounds. You are out there to play with speed. We don't put it as the big 3, but it's an important adjunct, like a secondary level workout to throw into your plan. Most of you, after you've been running for a year or 2, should be doing a fartlek run most weeks when the going's good. Okay, try it. You'll like it. We give you formats. I do find, though, the cautions I'll give you is that generally people mix up or they mess up on the fartleks by either over specificity. Again, they try and do exactly the paces as listed, and those are just rough guidelines. Those aren't necessarily meant to be held religiously and with exacting details. As you go up 2 minutes for this slow, and then 1 minute fast, 2 minutes slow. That's not what we're really about, but we do want to see pace variance, right? But it's smooth and strong on the quick. It's not bananas hard, and it's relaxed and easy on the down. It's not just noticeably less than the fast pace I did. The biggest mistakes people do are they run the fast sections too fast, or they run the slow sections too fast. That's about the biggest errors that happen. So the average pace ends up being way too quick. It becomes an A-level workout, not a B-level workout, as it should be, an off-kilter, playful. That's the thing. You have to be able to say, it's in the name, play with speed. You have to be able to be playful. And if you're not in the moment playful, then dial it back. Take the faster running out. It's optional, it's discretionary, it's fluid, okay? So this is one that really you don't want to go paint by numbers. You don't want to work on that. You want to make it very free and easy. And you can mess around with the relationship. You can turn it into a topographical fartlek where you go hard on the ups and then flats and downs are real, real easy. You can do telephone poles. You can do coffee shops. Whatever you want to decide where you go hard and where you go easy. That's up to you. All right? And that's, yeah, my last point is don't force it. It's a feel. It's a feel.